You know the task. You've known about it for days. The document is open. The deadline is real. And you are doing everything, absolutely everything, except the thing. You've checked your phone, made coffee, reorganized your desktop. You've read 3 articles about productivity, and somewhere underneath all of that, there's a voice that says, "What is wrong with me?" Nothing is wrong with you. What you're experiencing right now isn't laziness. It isn't a character flaw. It isn't a weakness in your discipline. Your procrastination is a threat response, and your brain cannot tell the difference between a blank document and a tiger. In 1996, psychologist Daniel Goleman introduced a term that would change how we understand human behavior. He called it the amygdala hijack. The amygdala, a small, almond-shaped structure deep in your brain, is your threat detection system. It's ancient. It predates language. It predates reason. Its only job is to keep you alive. And when you sit down to face a task that feels ambiguous, difficult, or loaded with the possibility of failure, your amygdala fires as if your life depends on it. Not metaphorically, neurochemically. Here's what's actually happening inside you at the moment you open that document. Your brain scans the task. It picks up on signals, complexity, uncertainty, the memory of last time this felt hard. The amygdala, Goleman's hijacker, logs this as a threat. And then, in an instant, before your thinking brain has even registered what's happening, it pulls the fire alarm. Neuroscientist Amy Arnsten at Yale spent years studying what happens to the brain under stress. What she found was almost counterintuitive. When the amygdala fires, it triggers a cascade of stress neurochemicals, dopamine and noradrenaline, that flood the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is your planning brain, your rational brain, the part of you that starts things, holds a goal in mind, breaks a task into steps. And what those neurochemicals do at the molecular level is open potassium channels in the prefrontal neurons, which weakens the synaptic connections, which in plain language means your planning brain goes offline. The brain doesn't just fail to start the task, it is physiologically prevented from doing so. The shutdown is literal. In 2018, researchers at Ruhr-Universität Bochum wanted to know if this showed up in brain structure, not just brain chemistry. They ran fMRI scans on 2,064 people and mapped the relationship between brain anatomy and procrastination. What they found was definitive. People who chronically procrastinate have, on average, a measurably larger amygdala, a bigger threat detector, one that's more reactive, more easily triggered, more sensitive to the possibility of failure, and crucially, the connection between their amygdala and the region responsible for overriding that threat response was weaker. It's not that procrastinators are less motivated, it's that the circuit designed to override the alarm is, structurally, less connected. Psychologists Fyodor Sirois and Timothy Pitchell spent years studying why we procrastinate. Their conclusion was not what most people expected. Procrastination, they found, is not a time management problem. It is an emotion regulation strategy. When the task triggers anxiety, resentment, self-doubt, or fear of failure, avoidance works immediately. The negative feeling disappears the moment you close the tab. Your brain learns avoidance equals relief, and it gets faster at it every time. And the cruelest part of the loop, every productivity book that tells you to just try harder, to eat the frog, to force the discipline is asking you to apply internal pressure to a system that responds to pressure by shutting down. Self-criticism activates the amygdala, which triggers more catecholamines, which weakens the prefrontal cortex further, which makes starting even harder. Strict discipline, when it tips into self-punishment, doesn't overcome the loop, it deepens it. So what does your biology actually need? Not pressure, not a harder alarm, not another reminder of how far behind you are. Research by Christine Neff and the teams at Sirois's lab found something that sounds almost too simple. Self-compassion reduces procrastination more effectively than discipline. Not because it's softer, because it's smarter. When you treat the task and yourself with less threat, the amygdala has less to fire at. The catecholamine flood is smaller. The prefrontal cortex stays online, and starting becomes physiologically possible. The most counterintuitive finding in the procrastination literature is forgiving yourself for procrastinating leads to less procrastination in the future. Not because forgiveness lowers your standards, because it removes the shame that was making the task feel more threatening than it already was. Your brain didn't fail. It did exactly what it was designed to do. It protected you from something it perceived as dangerous. The task isn't a tiger, but your brain needed you to know that. And now you do. That blank document is still there. The cursor is still blinking, but you're not the same person who opened it. You know what that blinking actually is now. Your brain doing its job, scanning for threat, finding one where there isn't one. The question isn't, why can't I just start? The question is, what does my nervous system need to feel safe enough to try? That's a different question, and it has a different answer. If this is the loop you're in, the next video goes one layer deeper into why the same brain that stopped you from starting also destroys things when they're going well. See you in the next one.